Welcome to the No Cash Push Show podcast. I am your host, Fredo.
I'm your co-host, Millz Lane.
And I'm your co-host, Jay Will.
And I'm your co-host, Kobe the Cobra Turner.
Good evening, everybody. I see some friendly faces on the line. I want to welcome Lamont Mabry back to the space. How you doing, Lamont?
I'm doing great. How you doing this evening?
Wonderful. I want to welcome Miss Tony McFarland to the space. Welcome back.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Hey, and last but not least, Miss Keisha Staples. You there?
Keisha.
We got a Mikey Horton on the line.
I'm back. Keisha, can you hear us?
Okay, we're gonna kick things off. We're gonna talk tonight all about mental health, and we're not necessarily putting sports on pause because we definitely, sports and mental health go hand in hand as well, and I want to talk about that. But I just want to have a real conversation. We have, two mental health experts on the line, and Lamont and Tony has done a lot of work in that space as well. So I want to just kick it off and let's just throw it around once I pose the first question. My first question is, why aren't mental health issues taken as seriously as physical health issues?
I would say because it's something really you can't see until it's brought to the forefront of it. But mental health is there every day. We wake up, mental health, the mood that you're in will determine how your day goes. So there's a lot of things that we hold on to that's not processed. It may be trauma from as a child that's not processed, that may manifest later on in life, depending on the situations. To me, it's just like the heart. We can have heart issues, may not have it until we 30, 40, 50 years old, but we still can have those heart issues, and the mental health is just the same. We need to get, regular checkups, be cognitive of how you feel, the thoughts that you're thinking, just everything. Mental health is definitely just as important as any other part of your body. If it's not working, you're going to be off. You're not going to be able to work. You're not going to be able to enjoy your life. So it's just as serious as any other part of your body, definitely.
Yeah, and I failed to mention, Tony and Keisha are two NFL moms. So I'm sure you have, over the years, you've seen the ebbs and flows of the game and the mental aspect that's taken on your sons. And either one of you, can you speak to that? What does that actually look like for you all? Is it just like withdrawal for your sons sometimes, or do they want to talk it out? And how have you helped them move through it?
For me, it really depends on the day. Sometimes he wants to talk about it, and then other times he don't even want to discuss it. When your son gets to a level of, like where football is his profession, there's a certain love for the sport that is like insane. So, like for my son, the fact that he is not on a team right now, I kind of have to really be, I have to check in. But I can't check in every day.
Right.
As if I check in every day, it's team too much. Wow. So I think because we're so connected, I can feel the days I need to check in.
Wow.
I know when he's bothered, and I really kind of have to sit him down and say, hey, like, you good? You need something?
Yeah.
So you really just kind of, I was just going to say, you really just kind of got to be in tune with them to really know, like, when their mental is not where it needs to be.
Right. Tony, I'm sorry. Finish up, Keisha. I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say this whole NFL thing is really stressful. And it's not just stressful for them, it's stressful for everybody. So until you have somebody that's actually in it, you don't know, like, all the details of everything that goes into it. And, like, like I said, this last 24 hours has been insane. And I was telling one of my girlfriends, I said, man, I said, don't you miss the day where we were just waiting on the day for the first NFL game to start? We wasn't worried about cuts. We
Yeah.
wasn't worried about waivers. We wasn't worried about the waiver wire. We wasn't worried about practice squad. I was like, now we stressed.
And I think that's important for people to hear. NFL lifespan is not that long. It's not that many years.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Right.
and we all hope that, he gets picked up. And I know that's what, everybody's praying for. But that is a reality of it. And you got to be ready for it. And I can understand that being a blow. Tony, what's your take on that?
Well, this is like my second rodeo. So my oldest son, he's 31 now. But when he was in college, he was at North Carolina Central, and he went through the, the pro day.
Right.
And, he really wanted to go into the NFL, and he came out early, didn't finish his senior year. And it really took a toll on him when, he didn't make it. But how we got through was, I believe I'm into spirituality. So you do have to pray. You do have to have an understanding that life happens. So my advice to him was, what's plan B? What's plan C? And how we're going to get to, the next plan. A lot of times these babies go into the NFL and they don't have a plan B or C. Right. They're not even thinking about, if they don't make it. Yesterday, my second son, Anthony, he was with the Steelers for 2 years on the 53-man roster. And yesterday he was waived after having a really good game, really good preseason. And he took it well. It was like he understood, and he had to really process it like, okay, what do I do now? Because he was thinking, okay, I have a good chance of making a 53-man roster. And he was like one of the last 3 that they called in to say that he had been waived. So he really had to, think about some things. And I told him, I said, take some time, relax your mind, and have a conversation with God.
Yeah.
And listen to, I said, he'll give you the answer. So while I'm talking to him and I'm telling him, I said, what I would do, because the process is, you can be, if you're in the waiver, you can be picked up within 24 hours, and he put on a 53-man roster. And if you're not, then you can go back to the practice squad, or you can go to anybody else's practice squad. And so I'm telling him, like, okay, if a 53-man, if someone picks you up and you have to leave, you really got to think about how far you have to go, the uproot, what is that going to look like? Right. You just moved into a house. Like, what are you, what are your plans? If you do it, you're going to have 2 houses you have to take care of. Yeah. So it's a lot of things. So just think about it. And as I'm talking to him, he gets a phone call, and he comes back on the line, and he says, Mom, he said, because I told him, I just finished telling him, I said, God will send you signs. You just have to listen. And when he came back, he said, that was someone from the facility, and they were saying, if I'm not picked up, just come back and sign with the Steelers, since I know the scheme, and fortunately, that's what he did today. So he signed on the practice squad. So wow. I told him, a check is a check is a check. Your budget changes, and you'll be okay. But with with me, and because I'm a teacher too, so I like to do mental check-ins. I always ask my students, how are you feeling? What's going on? How was your day? How was yesterday? What's your plans? And they talk it out, because like I said, mental health, you can't really see it, but you can feel it and you can think it. And a lot of times these kids, these students, even young people, older people, they're not taught how to process their feelings, how to breathe, how to relax, how to know, like I was telling my kids today, everybody has hardships. There's no one exempt from a hardship. We all experience some type of loss, but people don't know how to cope because they haven't been taught. They haven't
Right.
said, you know what, I can get through this, or I have to think of a plan. When you go to critical thinking and decision making, responsible decision making, you have to think of the plan, like what's next? What do I do if I get caught into this? And a lot of times people just don't know. I had
Yeah.
a student last year that attempted suicide, and she didn't tell me until the end of the year that she had committed suicide. And I was, asking her, what made you want to, like kill yourself? Because she said she was taking every drug, and the only thing she wanted to do was die in her mother's arms. And when
Oh,
she found her mom and she, collapsed in her mom's arms, she woke up in the hospital. And she said she was so upset with her mom because she said, the only thing I've ever asked you to do was let me die, and you couldn't even let me do that.
oh,
So when she came, so she's telling me this story, and I'm just, I'm crying. I didn't know. All I got was an email saying that she was in a hospital and to give her makeup work. And I said, by all means. But I said, so what made you want to live now? She said, because God brought me back. I'm here. So I have to do something different. But she said
yeah,
her surroundings, being around people that use drugs, that was her environment,
yeah.
caused her to, be in that state of mind. So, you really got to surround you with like-minded people,
Mm-hmm.
because I
Definitely.
believe in energy. So you got to surround yourself with people that have good thoughts and want to do positive things and move forward. If not, you will be stuck. So yeah.
I appreciate that. And one thing I started this year with my seniors is asking them just for a quick write. I said, what do you need to hear right now? And those responses broke me down. But you start there. What do you need to hear right now? And that's anything from somebody to tell me that I'm worthy, somebody to tell me that I can do it, somebody that can push me and motivate me.
Hmm.
So I appreciate that and sharing that tidbit with me and just asking people, how are you feeling? Not, I started saying, what happened? What happened? And they sometimes open up. I will say before I ask Kobe this same question, and I'll tell you and Keisha as parents, I'm sure my Cowboys could use both of your sons. So
Absolutely.
let's keep
Oh,
our
you know
options
what?
My
open.
commanders too.
I wanted to say something before you go on, but school just started. So what
Mhm.
I teach early childhood education. So I teach students, they get their certification to work in childcare with preschoolers.
Oh
But
wow.
one of the assignments this week was to write 5 positive affirmations that you're going to stick to this year. 5
Mhm.
positive affirmations, and then pick an accountability partner in the class. So I
Yeah.
believe in the partnering up with people
I
just
like
to,
that.
to check. So those were the assignments, and they really enjoyed the affirmations.
Yeah,
I like
and if
that.
you
So
catch them early, they will share. They will share.
absolutely.
Uh,
Hmm.
Kobe, kind of same question. You played in the professional circuit in the basketball world. So tell us, and like Tony was saying, it's always good to have some type of strategy and skill to cope. And a lot of kids out there and athletes may not have that. Can you share a little bit about, how you either calm yourself, or if you feel like, it's I always call it being overwhelmed, right?
Right.
And anxiety kicks in. So talk a little bit about that.
Right. Well, first I would like to say that I think it's a big disconnect between our generations and the generations before us versus this new generation. This
Hmm.
new generation is able to express their feelings more and say, "Hey, I need a mental break or something is going on with me mentally." Whereas when I grew up, expressing yourself like that meant you was soft or you was a
Hmm.
sucker, like toughen it up. And we didn't like mental illness wasn't even a word back then.
Wasn't.
It
But
didn't
the
exist.
word that they did stress was mental toughness, right? They wanted you to be mentally tough no matter what was going on in your world or in your head. When you stepped on the field, when you stepped on the court, coaches, parents, whoever the case may be, told you to leave that stuff outside. Once you
Hmm.
once you step in these lines, you have to be focused on the task at hand.
That's
Like
true.
so mental health never was it factored in.
Or they say, man up, man up.
Man up. So I don't know if I've had an actual mental health crisis per se myself, but to your point, Mills, I felt overwhelmed, and I think I've had the luxury that a lot of kids didn't have growing up, and a lot of athletes didn't have growing up. Some of you know that I grew up, or I started playing athletics in the tennis space. So I was one of the top ranked kids in the nation, and there was a lot of resources for us. And one thing that we had was sports psychologists, sorry. And so we would spend hours and hours a week with these professionals just calibrating and getting ourselves mentally in tuned and mentally healthy, and that was like throughout my youth, from the age of 9 all the way to 15 years old. And then even when I went to college, we had a mental health professional come in and speak with the team periodically, just for a mental check-in, just to make sure that we were good. So
what does that look like, Kobe? Is it just them asking you the question, are you good? How are you feeling? Are they asking you to just talk more, or are there actual exercises like, that you would do?
Well, it's both. First is the conversation. How are you? What's going on in your world? And it's a safe space, so you feel comfortable expressing yourself with that person. Like, this is going wrong in my life. I don't know what to do with it, because now it's affecting me in the classroom. Now it's affecting me on the basketball court. And so the mental health professional helps you work through it, through conversation. And then there's also exercises that they give you that you can try. So some of those exercises I kept with me even to this day. So like the people at work call me, what's the word they use for me? Unflappable. So they think, I always keep my emotion in check, because that's what I learned over the course of my, first is my outlook. First is my outlook on things. I always have a glass half full mentality.
Okay.
I don't think negative about things, so that helped me to not get down or put my shoulders down and stressed over petty things. And then also breathing. People don't know how important breathing is. Sometimes you just need to take a deep breath and then exhale. Music has been a big factor in my life, because music can be a soundtrack of what you're going through at the time. You know what I mean? So you can select any music from any genre, and whatever you feeling that day, there's some music for you to listen to that'll help decompress. You know what I mean? And then also quiet time. It's something I haven't done in a while, but I would sit in my house, all the lights off, and just have quiet times with me and my thoughts, let everything just fly out. And then I have a clear mind once I'm done. Also exercise, and you can exercise go along with music, because you listen to your music when you exercise. And then also when you exercise, you need to breathe, you know what I mean? So all that goes hand in hand. So that's helping me decompress, making sure I have a clear mental space. And then everybody know, after a long day, I love my cigar and bourbon. It's so relaxing. It's so relaxing to me. A nice cigar and a glass of bourbon, and just reflect on the day, and just think about what you have to do the rest of the week and stuff like that. That helps me. And then most of all, some people might say it adds to the stress, but for me, hanging out with my kids helps me just forget about anything else that's going on, because you're not allowed to be stressed out or to be angry or whatever the case may be when you're with your kids, because it's your responsibility to make sure they're good. Right. So you can't make sure they're good when you coming in with a negative headspace. So it helps me a lot when I'm with them. I see them smiling having a good time and they're doing well. So
I
that's
appreciate
how
that
I feel.
truth. I appreciate that. And for those of you who don't know, he has two beautiful, he's a girl dad,
Yes, he
two
is.
beautiful girls.
Absolutely.
And I have seen him out and about with them at the movies, and it's the cutest thing. Lamont, I see you shaking your head. He was on point. And I think everybody that,
No doubt.
we grew up in the 90s, and it was, things that I think about what I do, and the ladies, we can talk about this in a minute about self-care days that I know I took one this weekend. But I saw you nodding a lot, Lamont, because the breathing, that's important. Now, y'all know I'm not out there walking the trails every day, but when I did do it, it's a good release, right?
Oh,
Y'all
yeah,
ain't gotta
definitely.
laugh that hard, but I'm just saying. Jay Will, stop laughing and tell us, do you have any type of strategies that you employ when, when things just kind of get heavy? It's a lot going on.
So for me, it used to be basketball. Like that, every time I get stressed, I go because I always had access to a private gym. So I just go in the gym, man. Just me in the gym, and I just get up some shots. I just do some, what I'm saying, some ball work. Just anything basketball related used to help me. But now I'm an old man, so now I go in my man cave now, man. I'm kind of like Kobe. Like I just cut the lights off. I don't have no TV on. I just listen to some music and just chill. Like I don't smoke or nothing like that. I might drink every now and then, but me, man, I just go sit. I just sit quiet and think about what's getting me bothered and why am I letting it affect me. You know what I'm saying? Like why am I letting it win? Like
Yeah.
why does it bother me so much
Right.
that I'm getting to the point where I'm not myself no more? You know what I'm saying? Like when I was younger, man, like I'm like Kobe. I mean, I'm not old, but I think I caught the back end because of who my mom was. Like I was raised, it was no such thing as a mental break. It was you a boy, you a man, toughen up. You know what I'm saying? Like it. I told Fred and them this. I don't know if I told y'all Mills and Kobe, but I just now started expressing myself last year at 27 years old. You know what I'm saying? So I finally went to a therapist, and I mean it helped. But I just had to think, you know what I'm saying? I took in what she told me and I thought about it. And like I said, I just started expressing myself a year ago. I grew up with all this trauma my whole
Sure.
life, not realizing, you know what I'm saying, the stuff that I was putting out was the stuff that was done to me as a child. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? I didn't know how to love nobody. I didn't know how to take criticism. It was just physical. Everything with me was physical. I had a quick temper just because that's how my mom was. If something pissed her off, she was whooping my ass. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I was. The
Right.
slightest little thing, I'm ready to fight somebody. I'm ready. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know how to tell. I didn't know how to receive love because I didn't. I was out as a young boy messing with all these women looking for love because I didn't have it at home. You know what I'm saying? My
Yeah.
mom loved me, but she wasn't the mom to say like, "Son, I'm proud of you. I love you." You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I was messing with all these different women trying to find what I didn't have when it was just something as simple as, that's what I needed from my mom. And so I finally just like my wife I'm with now, she worked with me for years, man. I was rough. And she finally got me to the point where it was just like, you got to learn how to express yourself. We got to go get you some help. You know what I'm saying? The way you act isn't normal, you know? And I commend her because she was patient with me because she could have easily left. I used to, man, my attitude was terrible. But she was like, the way you act isn't humane. Like, that's not normal. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to get to the bottom of why you act the way you do. So now, man, she just give me my space. I go get quiet and come out when I'm ready.
Well, I know all of us on here, we see you and we understand and appreciate that you not only shared that, but you got to a space where you could see someone that you knew there was a problem. And shout out to your wife
Absolutely.
for working with you. Because a lot of times, I'm single. So a lot of times when I notice stuff like that early, I can't hold that energy. I can't do it, but she stayed, and that's awesome. I appreciate that. Fredo, on you.
For the most part, for me, I'm a big processor, right? Meaning that I process information all day, every day. It's funny because I was telling somebody this the other day. It's like I'm an introvert and I'm an extrovert at the same time. Sometimes I like to be in the crowd, sometimes, but a lot of times I like to be to myself. So when things get thick and tough for me, yes, like Kobe and Jay Will said, exercise is for me, but mainly I like to drive to get things off my mind. And not only that, I have like lunch or dinner. I can go to the movies by myself just to process, you know what I'm saying, just to get my mind off of things and stuff like that. I'm still a work in process, Mills. I'm still a work in process. I'm not there yet. This podcast, I think I stated this before, is somewhat therapeutic for me because it's giving me a chance to not so much become myself, but allows me to be vulnerable in this space. You know, so again, I'm still a work in process. I do need to seek therapy. And big ups to Jay Will, man, because that's something that I've been prolonging that for so long, and that has to happen for me because, like I said, you're right. There's a lot of things from my past that I still hang on to from a trust standpoint, where I don't trust. I have a hard time trusting people, you know. So I definitely need to seek therapy from that standpoint. And like I said, I definitely commend everybody else that spoke up on it, especially Jay Will, man. Just, you know what I'm saying, admitting his faults and stuff like that, and where he is right now, man. I definitely appreciate that.
That's huge. And, you know, and I've talked about, you know, seeking out a Black female therapist. You know, I was very intentional about doing that. And this is my second go around this is my second therapist, you know, and I've had therapy probably almost 20 years ago, but I wasn't ready because I thought I would just sit there, tell them my issues. You know, I got daddy issues, right? And then I thought she was going to tell me, okay, this is what you need to do. And when the lady's like, no, you got to figure it out. I'm like, well, what I'm paying you for? Like, I did not understand. So again, people come into grips with, you know, knowing that you could use somebody that not only listens to you, but understanding that you have to come up with the answers. And, you know, that cliche thing about, you know, the answers are inside you, that they really are, you know. And it's unfortunate, you know, as African Americans, we all come with trauma. We all have childhood trauma, and I bet none of us knew that we would carry that childhood trauma into adulthood. It may materialize in different ways, but it really does. And being a grown woman with daddy issues, you know, relationships are hard for me, you know, because I have to put the wall down, right? Wow. I can't say, you know, this is honestly what I have to say sometimes or stop saying is, I got it. You know, when he wants to help, I got it. And then I had to, like, men like to be needed. And, you know, if you don't do it fast enough, or when I need something, or when I feel, you know, I'm like, I got it, because I'm protecting me. That's my defense. And that's something that I have had to learn to slowly tear that down. Lamont, are you hearing things that make sense to you?
Oh, definitely. It definitely makes sense. You know, I have a lot of clients that I deal with that have a lot of parent issues, daddy issues, mama issues, and that is something that they, you know, have to work on, is finding that solution to what will break that barrier so they can be able to move on with relationships, be able to move on with kids. So I definitely agree. And, you know, it's something that you have to recognize and see that you need assistance with, how to process it, how to talk it through. It's definitely something, you know, a therapist will definitely be able to, the right therapist for you, will be able to help you with, be able to assist you with. Definitely.
Okay, I have a question, Mills. Let me, and this is for you, Mills, and everybody else. From a therapist standpoint, how do you select the right therapist for yourself? How do you know? Is it certain questions that you ask? What do you seek? You know what I'm saying? You know, I mean, yeah, we can seek a Black therapist or what have you, but how do you know they may? You know, how do you know if they can relate to you and your situations and stuff like that?
The way, I have to do this on
okay.
trial and no, you really don't have a lot of trial and error.
Okay.
But what I try to do is matching my clients up with the therapist that I have a selection from, is pretty much like pairing you up with a friend. someone that you might have some kind of likeness, some kind of thing, hobbies or something in common with, or that you may be able to relate to as far as being a male or female, same culture. Just find similarities and find the therapist style. I know I have some therapists that will, they are more hands-on. They're going to, work with you, whether you come to therapy, you show up one week, you may not show up the next week. They're going to reach out to you and see what's going on. They're going to stay consistent with you. They may be a therapist where if you don't pick up the phone that week, they may not reach back out to you for another 2 weeks. So it's just finding that match to see where that person is at, to match them with the therapist. You have some therapists that's schedule, call. Then you have the therapist that's going to double back and give that extra call, maybe 2 or 3 calls just to reach you and see what's going on. Sometimes it may be, you may be in depression. You may not want to answer that phone at that period of point in time. But if you have the right therapist, they would know this and they will continue to call and reach you.
Right.
So.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to ask Tony and Keisha, do you have some go-to strategies when you are feeling, and I'll just keep overwhelmed. I'll use that as, not necessarily having a crisis, but when you feel overwhelmed, what are your go-to strategies?
Well,
I'll say.
Oh, go ahead, Keisha.
Oh, go ahead.
Now I was gonna say, my secret weapon is I am a certified life coach. So I have a whole book of strategies that I use because when I became a life coach, the class was we had to be coachable. So we had to pair up and have buddy coaches, and we had to go through the process. So going through that process really helped me understand myself, helped me understand so many strategies that I use and so many strategies that I share. So one strategy that I really like is this emptying out, like just emptying out my thoughts and feelings. And what I tell, people and the clients that I have, that you're not wrong for feeling how you feel. How you feel is how you feel. Yeah. And no one can tell you you're wrong or you're not supposed to feel a certain way.
Right.
And I think that's where a lot of times people get caught up, like, should I be feeling like this? It's okay. It's okay to feel the way you feel.
And
so
think
that's
about how we
strategy.
probably all grew up. And I know I heard this a lot, especially to my brother and to guy friends of mine, where they'd be like, oh, you all right. Oh, you all right. And then you never get to express what really is wrong. Oh, you all right. Keisha, what do you think?
Well, I was just going to say, when you have 4 kids at home, you don't really have room for crises, right?
Wow.
So, I do go to the movies by myself. I will go eat by myself. I can sit in the car. One time I sat in the car so long, this cop came to my car, and I was like, why are you bothering me? And he was like, well, you just been sitting in the car. I said, okay. I mean, it's my car. I'm in front of my house. Like, why are you bothering me? It's kids in there. I don't want to go in there right now. He was just like, oh, okay. Like, so sometimes my car is my best friend. Like,
I know that's right.
Music is my thing. I can sit and listen to music for 8 hours. And really listen. I can sing my heart out. I got certain playlists that are for certain things. If I'm feeling lonely, I got some slow jams that's for,
Is it true? Because I don't know if it's like, if you agree with this, but sometimes if I'm feeling some type of way, whether it's lonely or down, sometimes I like to sit in that space. So I find the music, like you're saying right now, that keeps me in that space. It may take me to another
motivation.
Place. Right.
Sometimes I need some motivation because, my tolerance is low, right? Mm-hmm. So sometimes I got to listen to some love songs to remember, like, what am I looking for again? Like, why do I want to be bothered with people again?
And you know,
And then
another.
it's I was just gonna say, and then I have a gospel playlist
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm,
that is a savior because
Mm,
there are times when you really just need a good cry.
mm-hmm,
yes.
You know, you really just need to like get it out. I will never forget. You know, Antoine got injured his senior year of high school, broke his wrist, he broke his ankle. That first game I went to at Maryland, and I knew he was playing. I was on my way. I put in Kirk Franklin, Real Love, right?
Mm.
And I'm sitting there listening to that song, and I'm just driving. When I say I bawled my eyes out,
Mm,
just thankful for the fact that, like,
mm-hmm.
it could have been over,
right.
and it's not,
Yeah.
and it isn't. So even in times like this, where okay, he don't have a team, whatever, it'll be fine. I know I can go to that playlist and I can play one of those songs, and then sometimes I'll send him a song, and he'll be like, "Mom, you trying to make me cry?" I'm like, "No, son, I'm trying to give you some motivation,
Yeah.
okay? Like sometimes you gotta, look to the Lord and say a quick prayer and keep it
True
moving."
story.
Yeah.
True story.
Yeah. So, when I get stressed, which is not often because anybody that knows me knows, like, I'm not a high strung person. I'm not real, you know. My mother calls me lackadaisical, right? That's her word. You're so lackadaisical. I'm like, well, Ma, what am I going to be stressed for? Like,
Yeah.
Right.
you want me to be stressed all the time? Like, I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So, I think because of the music and just the time that I sometimes take to myself really gives me time to, just really be able to go and get back into the game and take care of these kids,
Yeah.
right?
That's
And then I noticed about myself that, people will talk about women in a messy house, right? But guess what? A messy house lets me know when my mind's not right.
Me
mm.
too. If my room is a mess, my life is a mess.
Oh wow.
It lets me know that I need to get myself together.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Listen, that is so
wait a
true for
minute,
me.
when did my room get like this? Like,
Yep.
when did this happen?
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And when I really sit there and say, oh, wait a minute, like, hold on, let me get my shit together because what happened? Like, what,
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
like, when did this happen? And I only realized that a couple years ago. I'm 45. I realized
Yeah.
this is like 40.
Yeah.
Mm.
Fred, were you
So you
gonna
live
say
and you
something?
learn.
No, no. Wow. I mean, yeah, that's. Yeah, I mean, yeah, she hitting on something right there. I, I guess for me, Mills, and I want to go back to this, and I hope I'm not stealing anybody's thunder tonight, because like I said before, right? This podcast for me is therapeutic. Um, people look at you in a space, and they look at you like, okay, well, you like, well, he has money or he's doing good and stuff like that, and all this other stuff, that I don't like, right? And I always I try to be honest with myself, because people don't know. People know what they think they know, but
Mhm.
they have no clue, Mills. They have no clue that, that, yeah, I used to be in the real estate industry, right? I was well off, right? And guess what? The market hit, right? And guess you wasn't prepared for it. You lost everything. You lost 9 to 11 houses. You know what I'm saying? Bank account is negative. You know what I'm saying? I had to sleep on my cousin's couch and
Mhm.
stuff like that for a year and a half. Just, not being able to provide for your kids the way you normally the way you were accustomed to doing and stuff like that. Stuff like that. I can't get past, and it's like, okay, I'm doing good in life now, where I do ask myself, like, okay, I want to retire. I was supposed to retire like 4 or 5 years ago, but I'm scared to because I'm afraid what I may go back to. Right. So stuff like that really, that it's this podcast drives the hell out of me. It drives me. I don't want to go back to that space again because that made me feel it made me feel away. And then not only that, I wasn't myself. I was putting on a facade, trying to be something that I wasn't when I was hurting inside and not being, I felt like less of a man. You know what I'm saying? And yet it's people, man, mental health, man, is serious. It is very serious. It is something that I didn't take serious, and I kept pushing to the side until I had to really have an honest conversation with myself. Like, who the hell do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Take a look at yourself. And I mean, that's the space that I'm in right now. I'm
so proud of all of us on here for going deep tonight, because the folks that are watching this now, the folks that are going to see this, they never expected any of us to go as deep as we did tonight. I'm a oversharer. I that is something that helps clear me out, to share. But I know that we are helping people, which makes me feel good. I think that makes all of us feel good. Jay Will's brutal honesty, Kobe talking about, his story, having Tony and Keisha tell their story. And for Lamont, who, works in this space every day, you've seen each of us, right? You've seen each of us and all of our issues, and you have to try to disseminate, how can I best help this person? So I just appreciate you, Fred, for allowing us to do this show tonight. I thought this was going to be a segment and we'll talk about it. And what we have talked about, and I push back. I remember Mo and I had our first battle on air a few months ago. We were talking about Kevin Durant, your boy, Fredo. And what I won't do anymore, now that I am more versed on what mental health challenges look like, is I don't judge. So when we talk about a Kevin Durant and why he acts the way he does or why he says things, I told Mo, like, we don't know what this man is going through.
That's right.
Naomi Osaka, people, well, why was she not, play tennis? Well, she just did a commercial, but you don't know in that space what
John Wall,
right? John Wall,
yeah.
Kyrie Irving, and I love that, what Kobe said about this generation has more tools and more, they are more free to talk about their ailments or whatever, or however it materializes in them. But I won't, going forward, I won't sit there and judge an athlete because of, just like Keisha and Tony were saying, this will, and I saw your post yesterday, Keisha, and my heart sank because I didn't know where your son was in this mix either. But I understand somebody, especially with, NFL, any of these high profile careers, what a blow that is to not only your self-esteem, your ego, and then you got to worry about the real things. What's my money gonna look like? And that everybody on here, when you mess with our money, we in a mood, we a certain type of way, right? So I say all that and saying thank you for allowing us this space to share and to go deep this way.
Absolutely.
And I just want to say, don't forget laughter. It's always good to laugh. Always.
Yeah, absolutely.
Always good to laugh.
You're
no
right.
matter what.
Yeah, you're right, Tom.
I call that my superpower, and I lean towards the funny, and the amount of mess that I've been through in my life is why I do comedy. It's very therapeutic for me. And I love making connections, and I, just laugh at it. I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, I've done stuff, falling down a flight of stairs, just stupid stuff, that can happen to you. But just learn to, Jay Will, you laughing too hard over there. Stuff that's falling. I just told a student today, they were talking about food fights. I said a grape was on the floor, and I left a staff meeting and slipped on it. in front of everybody. I said, and hurt myself, but you gotta, I mean, stuff like that, you know, you gotta kind of laugh at it. And I love how Keisha is with, you know, just her personality and being, Keisha, you strike me as being unmoved and allowing yourself to be like, I'm unbothered, right? I'm not gonna let that energy in. And we don't know each other that well, but I'm just saying, just that's that energy I get, like, I'm good, right? And then so it's hard for a lot of people. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say 95% of the time I am unbothered. Mm-hmm. The only thing that bothers me is anything that has to do with my kids and my money, right?
There it is.
Everything else I can pretty much deal with and roll it off my shoulders. And so, yeah, 95% of the time I am unbothered, but catch me on that 5%. You don't want none of this.
So nobody wants that smoke.
I don't want none of this.
I will add, though, along with knowing that you need time. Some of you know I lost my best friend in 2016 on election day. So not only did she die, but Trump was president. So I was way out of sorts. But I needed that following summer. I went to Puerto Rico by myself, and my entire family was like, "Don't do that. Just don't do." And I was like, I'm gonna be okay, right? Because I needed that. I needed to write. I needed to journal, and that is the most fabulous thing. If you can do it, take a trip. You know what I'm saying? Let the waves be your friend. Let the air breathe. You know what I'm saying? If you can take a trip solo, I suggest everybody try it at least one time.
That's a bet.
Straight up.
That's a bet right there.
You on your own time, your own schedule. You ain't got to worry about what we doing today. What we getting up? Nah, I'm sleeping in. You know,
That's
it is
right.
what it's gonna be.
Definitely. I ain't got to feed nobody.
You got to worry about me. Well, I have enjoyed this. I have enjoyed this tremendously. Lamont, are there any tips that you can kind of leave us with to just make sure if we need to do that quick check-in, what are some things that, you know, we can take from this and people watching can take from this?
Let me see. I really wanted to touch on mental health and gun violence tonight, but I see we ran out of time a lot. But I definitely want to give some tips on like repetitive thoughts. I know I deal with a lot of gunshot victims, survivors of gunshot victims. And I know a lot of it's retaliation. After they've been shot, they want to go back out and retaliate. So I deal with a lot working with them in retaliation, not trying to go back and seek retaliation. But just a few things, be mindful of your thoughts. What you're thinking is the most important thing you can do. Whatever you have on your mind, try to keep it positive, try to keep the negative thoughts out, try to focus on everything that's going on that's positive. Try to pay attention to positive things. Another tip I would say was challenge your negative thoughts. When you're having those recurring negative thoughts, I should go back out there and get retaliation for this or that. Challenge it. Think about it. Is it something that I should do? The consequences going to come after I go do it. You know, is that going to bring back what happened before? Just challenge those thoughts. Put reality to it. What are going to be the consequences after that? Another would be set achievable goals. If you want to put those thoughts into remission, set goals. Okay, I will only have that thought maybe one time a day, or if this high thought occurrence, I will only have it 3 or 4 times a day. And when it does come, I'm going to find a way to challenge that thought out of my mind. I'm going to find music. I'm going to find exercise. I'm going to find something that's going to take my mind off of those thoughts. And last but not least, seek therapy. Find a therapist that you can relate to, that you can talk to, you can speak these thoughts out to, and get those thoughts out of your head. I can say I've had, thoughts of killing that I had to get out of my head because my life was in danger. When those natural, instances happen, you've been shot at, or if you've had, been robbed, had a gun put to your head, or whatever, you're going to have those reoccurring thoughts come back in your head. It's going to be there. That's with human nature. You have human thoughts, but it's how you react to those thoughts, how you deal with those thoughts. That's going to be able to get you forward and get past those and not have you go out there and do something that you will regret for the rest of your life. So definitely out there, to all the youngins out there, the gun violence, retaliation is a lot of how it keeps going in cycle, repeated cycle. So eventually the cycle has to break, and the mental health, dealing with those repetitive thoughts, finding effective coping mechanisms will help you get through it.
Thank you. Before we leave, can everybody just share just a closing thought, whatever you want to share? Let's start with Jay Will.
Oh man, you put me on the spot.
I'm sorry.
Damn, Mills.
It's okay.
You know what? Go forth and prosper. It on that, just
Right.
something. Like I think this was this was healing for me. I'll say
Yeah.
that.
Yes, absolutely. For me as well.
My closing thought, man. Like you said, I'm proud of everybody on here who, share how they get through stuff. I just want everybody to, like what I was told, I just want everybody to remember, like, trouble and bad, it don't last always. It's always light at the end of the tunnel. You know what I'm saying? So whatever it
You muted yourself.
You muted yourself.
Yeah, hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, bro.
Right, there you go. Yeah, whatever it is, man, don't let it defeat you. You know what I'm saying? It's always positive. Positive gonna come from everything. So just keep your mind focused on the positive and just keep pushing.
I love it. Kobe, what you think?
I think this was a great show tonight, and Mills, thank you for creating these topics for us to discuss. It was very impactful, and I'm sure it's helpful for all of us on this show and all of our viewers and listeners. And I know we say that mental health is something that you can't see, but actually there are signs that we can see. So just be mindful of that. Watch your loved ones, watch your kids. I coach high school basketball, so I recognize when a kid is acting up, or when a kid is loafing during practice, or when they just acting unusual. I know how to approach that kid and come at them in a way that's not going to increase whatever they're going through at that time.
Yeah.
And just make sure that they're okay. So just watch for the signs and do your best to try to support that person.
I love that. Tony, you have any closing thoughts?
In my closing thought, what Fredo said earlier, we all are work in progress. Don't compare yourself to others, and know that you are enough where you are.
Love that. Keisha, what about you?
All I was gonna say is just stay prayed up, and keep it positive.
Love it.
That's
Lamont?
all I got.
Definitely, I would say, definitely, if you see someone in mental health crisis, just try to assist them. Try to show love. Try to see what's going on with them. Don't judge them. If they're ready for help and you put it out there for them to assist them with help, they will accept it. If they're not ready for the help, then they will turn away from it. But still show them love.
Yeah, Fred, I know you agree. Did you have anything else you wanted to say before we close?
No, that's basically that, babe. This has been a therapeutic conversation, and not only that, going forward, it needs to be more conversations like this, and we need to expound more. And we did a deep dive today, but we need to go deeper and deeper. You know what I'm saying?
We could do check-ins, every
absolutely.
few months.
It's good. It is good. But as I stated earlier, man, thank you all for, like I said, thank the special guests for tapping in with us tonight. Thank you all the viewers and listeners and stuff like that, man. This is a therapeutic conversation, and these are conversations that must be had. So
absolutely. And because I'm a comedian, I like to finish with some song. I have no prior musical training, but because of Jay Will's last comment, I'm gonna go ahead with it. And this is how we're gonna close it out, y'all. I'm so glad. I think I got that right. Wait. Trouble don't last always. Yeah, that's how we're gonna close it out tonight.
Take your time,
that for what
sister.
it's worth. I hope you got it. Take my time.
We can finish the song.
she said, finish your song. Tony said,
That's
go ahead, finish it. That's right. Go ahead.
That's all
We
I
got time. Go ahead.
Harmonize.
Okay.
Go ahead. Let's go.
We're gonna do it. Am I gonna go? I'm gonna go low. You gonna go high?
Okay.
Yeah, however, let's do it.
Okay. I'm so
Come on,
glad.
I'm so glad trouble don't last always.
Trouble don't last always. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for checking out the No Cap Sports Show tonight. We have had a good time, a good conversation. We're gonna continue this in the future. I hope you all were able to write down and take some notes and just be able to vibe with us. You know, we just like you. We put our pants on one leg at a time. Sometimes we trip up and fall trying to hop and do it. But you know what? We all are one. Hey, that's another song. That's another song.
Hey, go ahead, Frankie Beverly. Go ahead.
Y'all have a good night. Thank you for joining us tonight, and we'll see you next week on the No Cap Sports Show.